Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 64 of the Brighter Horizons podcast, your weekly dose of positivity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with a new episode. We're hyped to be here. No matter how late it is, we're very, very excited to be here. It's a late night episode again, late night vibes, but we're going to get into it. We're going to have a good old chat, as always. But yeah, how's your day been, man? How's your week been?
It has been amazing. It's been a long,
I was gonna say, it's been
long
a chaotic
day.
week.
I was talking day. Just the day has been a long day. It's a very late night recording again today, but it has been a chaotic week. We have sustained some injuries because of our chaotic week, actually, which we will dive into. Actually, I guess I could just jump into it right now. I actually went snowboarding, and it was my second time officially, but the first time I went, it was in like grade 7, and I really didn't remember anything from there. So I kind of learned it all my first time, going. And my friend, man, he taught me well, and he said I was doing pretty good for a beginner. So he decided to take me on a bunch of blue lines. It was a bad idea. It was a bad idea. I suffered. I struggled. I went through immense amounts of pain. I had bruises all over my body, and my wrist sustained some severe injury, to which we do not know yet. I actually have a doctor's appointment coming up soon, so I have to get that checked out. But this is just a temporary kind of a splint we put on just because it hurts a lot. Courtesy of my mother, actually.
W mother.
So
shout out, Mom.
Thank you. Shout out to my mother for that. But yeah, snowboarding was such a good experience. I actually enjoyed it so much. I never thought that I would like snowboarding that much. It's such a fun experience, and like it is so physically taxing. I did not know that. The amount of physical effort that goes into snowboarding is crazy. Like I would not have expected it.
I didn't really expect that either, to be honest. The way I saw snowboarding is you're kind of just letting gravity do the work for you.
No, that's skiing, bro. Like skiing is easy. Snowboarding is so much harder. Like I've done skiing and I've done snowboarding. First off, I prefer snowboarding personally.
Because it's more fun or what?
Yeah, I think it's more fun. Like just on a personal note, I think it's more fun. And like listen, you can call me cringe for it, but like low-key snowboarding just has so much more aura. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to put it in any other way.
No, I agree.
It's just so cool to be snowboarding. And, yeah, I genuinely just enjoy it a lot more than skiing. And personally, skiing is, also, it's kind of like skating. Like, people say that all the time. And it's like, I've been skating my whole life. So
doing something new
it doesn't
fun.
feel, completely novel. It feels a little bit familiar. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of boring to me. Like, when I go and do something different, I want to be doing something completely different. So snowboarding was, that new experience for me.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to try snowboarding. Like I haven't gone before.
It's really, really fun.
But
really
I guess now I have to wait for
a year, basically. But you got a long time, man. Season's just ending, so
I guess it's fine.
It is
fine.
We'll get a time and we'll go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's always time to experience things, but that's what I'm thinking. You were about to say something.
I was just gonna say we live in a place with so many mountains to go and do this stuff.
That's actually a good point.
We just don't do it. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Man, that's so crazy how much we don't take advantage of a lot of the things that we have.
Oh yeah.
And that's one thing I feel like most people don't think about enough. Like the amount of stuff you really have is kind of astronomical compared to a lot of people out there, but also how much you really give yourself credit for. Like what you believe you have is often much less than what you actually do, just because of the perspective you're taking on. For example, right now, I'm thinking a lot about school and how I absolutely hated studying. And then all it took was just sitting down with two friends and spending an hour going through a lecture and then sitting there and just firing questions at each other and just laughing so hard when somebody doesn't know the answer and they say something stupid and we all just start laughing. It's a good time. And those are just those situations where you really take them for granted on how enjoyable the little things can be, because you're just thinking, it's school. I'm studying. I have an exam. I'm stressed. Blah, blah, blah. All this extra stuff. Man, it's okay. Life, it's part of life. Every single thing you do on a day-to-day basis, it can be fun. It can
Absolutely.
be fun. But it's all internal, right? That's one thing you really got to focus on.
It's very funny to me because even I find myself doing this, but I see a lot of other people doing it as well, is you live in a place for example, let's take British Columbia, and you see some video of some really nice nature landscape, some natural landscape. You're oh my god, man, that's so beautiful. And I'm like, bro, we could go there right now. Give us an hour long drive and we could find a landscape just like that.
Yeah.
And I guess people exactly as you said, people don't realize how much there is around you and how you can take advantage of all of that stuff. We definitely undervalue the things that are around us that are positive, and we tend to overvalue the negative things, which brings me to one of like the key core topics I really want to like drill down on today is like the irrationality of people, right? And any of you have studied economics, you would know like one big thing, especially when you're like doing intro to economics course, one of the biggest things that they always say is in like we can apply this model, this principle, this theory if the person is a rational consumer, meaning that they do what is best for them. That at any given point in time, they do what is logically the best thing for them to do. Meaning I could buy, like to put it into a like perspective, I have store A and store B. Store A sells avocados for $5. Store B sells it for $4. Okay? A rational consumer is always going to buy from store B because I want the cheaper avocados. But one person might be like, yeah, but, I see this pretty girl at store A every single time, so I'm going to go to store A. Okay? That's like the idea is that we don't always act in what's objectively the right thing to do. Because if we did, economists would have such an easy job because it'd be so easy to predict every single part of human behavior. And that's another thing like that a lot of business courses look at is like, oh, how can we predict human behavior? And like the simple answer is just you can't. There is no rationalizing it. And that's what my biggest issue has been on this entire, mental health and like self-help journey. And not even just surrounding myself, but surrounding other people and like, how can I do my best to help people? And I realized that I always looked at things through a rational lens, right? I would be like, okay, why are you crying? Because of this XYZ problem. Mm-hmm. How do you solve XYZ problem? You go and do this. And I know that this is advice that I've definitely said on this podcast. I know that. But I guess the one thing I never took into account is that it's a lot deeper than that. And it's not always so simple. Because if being extremely happy was so easy, then why isn't everybody extremely happy? Mm-hmm. That's the simple way to put it. Is I think we live in a world with so many sad people that if it was so easy to be happy, then why isn't everybody? That's kind of the big question I'd been like hitting on for the past few weeks, really. And I've been really trying to figure out how is it that I am at this point and how can other people get to this point? And also, what do people not understand about this point? When I say I'm happy, that doesn't mean I'm free from pain, that I'm free from sadness, that I don't have bad days, but I don't think a lot of people get that. I think people are only willing to be happy once everything is perfect. Mm-hmm. And that's the fallacy, is in believing that everything has to be right for you to be happy. And it's kind of that and then mentality, right? Like, once I get 100% on this test, then I'll be happy. No, once I get an A in this course, I'll be happy. Once I get my degree, I'll be happy. Once I get a job, I'll be happy. Once I retire, I'll get happy. Like, you keep delaying your happiness because you're too afraid to have it right now because things aren't perfect. But I think what most people don't understand is that everybody's deserving of happiness at every single point in their life. Even if you're in a bad point where you've made mistakes, that doesn't mean that, like, you can't be happy or you don't deserve it. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right? It's not a simple thing to do, to be happy, to let go of pain and suffering. It's not an easy task to do. So the one thing I've kind of been grappling with, I've been talking for a while, but the one thing that I've kind of struggled with is how is it that, or rather, what don't people understand about happiness? That's kind of the question I've been circling. And I'm going to toss it to you here and actually ask you, what do you think, why do you think that so many people are unhappy, even though it seems pretty straightforward as to how you can be happy?
I think one of the biggest reasons why most people aren't happy on a day-to-day basis is because they are not trying to manufacture it. They're not trying to create it. There's a clip from David Goggins, and it was used in a different context, obviously, because this is him trying to inspire himself and force himself to believe that he can be better, even though he's nearly 300 pounds. He's thinking to himself, okay, I can be a Navy SEAL. I can run these miles. I can lose this weight. And he said, when all hope seems lost or something like that. No, what did he say? Oh, that's what it is. You have to be able to imagine something bigger than yourself. And it has to be fake because you aren't it. And to me, the way I compare that analogy to happiness is sometimes you just need to think, I'm a happy person. I'm a happy person. I'm a happy person. No matter what, I'm happy. Today's going to be a great day no matter what. Those moments drastically change how you feel throughout the day. And most people don't understand that because they're not willing to try. Because they think, oh, you can't just think I'm a happy person and magically become one. The crazy thing is you can. You literally can. I'll tell you guys, 5 seconds before we started this recording, I really wish I had the cameras rolling at that point. But when we're setting up the studio, I came downstairs. By the way, it is basically midnight now almost. And we're recording this episode, and we both had to be up to go to class tomorrow morning. I came downstairs with my stuff in hand, ready to set up for the pod, and I was listening to Just Dance by Lady Gaga on speaker on my phone to kind of get my energy in the right space. I walk into the room, I'm vibing. This guy walks in, and he just starts dancing, busting a move. I start busting a move, and we straight up stood there for 2 minutes right here in this studio, just dancing for a whole minute. Just getting amped up. And all of a sudden, the tired feeling is not as prevalent. The feeling of, oh my God, I'm going to be so tired tomorrow is not present anymore. It's just vibes now. I just feel good. So what did we do? We straight up just manufactured energy right there in that moment. Yeah, obviously with the help of Gaga. But at the end of the day, it was us saying, all right, you can sit here and be dead for this episode and make something that's mediocre. Or you put your heart and soul into creating some happiness, creating some momentum, creating some energy that you can feed off of for the next hour, and then go crash after that. That's fine, right? At the end of the day, if you start your day with that mentality of, oh, I'm going to be a happy person today. I'm going to smile more. I'm going to compliment somebody today. I'm just going to be more positive. Your life becomes better. And the thing is, most people won't even believe me. I guarantee you half of the people listening to this are not going to believe me. Go try it. I'm telling you, I've said this many episodes ago, actually. I haven't said this for a long time. So the OGs who have been around for a while, first of all, we appreciate you. But also, you guys will know the story of the times where I woke up and for months on end, the first thing I would do is I'd stand in front of the mirror, look at myself and say, today's going to be a great day before starting and doing anything. And in fact, this guy, while he's sleeping, I'd walk into his room, bust down the door and be like, today's going to be and then he would respond with
a great day.
Every morning without fail. That's what we did. And life was good. Life was really good when I did that. I'm going to be honest, I haven't been doing that as much lately, but I feel like I've been more conscious about my thoughts and my emotions. So it's not as necessary, but I will say that it's definitely a great way to start your day. So I guess long-winded answer aside, you got to manufacture it sometimes. Like not every moment is going to be happy. And it's just something you got to come to terms with. There are going to be good days. There are going to be bad days. But if you say, I'm happy either way, you can't really be sad. You can't lose.
See, that's the thing is like, I had the exact same view as you, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a big part of our podcast that we really talked about was like that idea that, happiness is a state of mind, not an emotion. And I know we said something contradictory on a previous episode, and I wanted to call you out on that. But
how do you have so much recollection of exactly what I
No, because
said?
I remember you saying it specifically, and I was like, hey, that's like one of my favorite quotes that we've ever said on this podcast. And you contradicted it, and I was like, oh, I feel bad about that. But it's okay. Like, do you want me to quote exactly what you said?
I just want to hear the quote.
Oh, no, because like you said, things like happiness and sadness are fleeting, they're emotions, but peace is like a state of mind. And I was like, oh, well, like you're right, but
we said happiness is a state of mind.
And I like happiness is a state of mind because it kind of shows that you're the one that's in power. Mm-hmm. Because like people want to say, oh, if happiness is a state of mind, then why can't sadness be a state of mind? And I'm like, it can be.
It 100% can be.
But again, it's up to you. It's in the eye of the beholder. You get to choose. That's what's beautiful about it. But then it brings me back to the question. If it's as simple as just waking up every day and telling yourself I'm going to be happy, then why doesn't everybody do it? Right? And that's like the question I've been asking. That brings me back to that idea of irrationality. A rational person would do exactly what you do. They'd wake up every morning and be like, let me be happy, right? Because we pray for happiness. We want happiness. We live our life seeking happiness. So why wouldn't we sit there and be like, damn, I'm a happy person and live every day like that? Why wouldn't we? And I've been going down this really weird rabbit hole of like, if you guys ever by chance see the reels I like, you'd be really confused. Like, what is wrong with this guy? Because I like some very sad reels. But the reason I do that is because I'm very interested in like seeing the other side of things. I want to know, why is it that people suffer so much? What? Are you thinking Mike Ross?
What?
Oh, never mind. I thought we were going to have like a reference moment, but it's okay.
No, I want you to explain that reference in a second. No, I was just thinking, I went on Instagram today for the first time in a while, and I clicked on the Reels tab by accident, and I saw one reel, and it was just the clips of Ryan Gosling when he's like super, super beat up in those movies, like bloodied face and everything. And the first clip of him being beat up, it says, pulling the 10 out of 10 blonde. The second slide, pulling the 10 out of 10 brunette, still beat up. The third slide, him prancing around happily in a field, and it says pulling the trigger.
Okay.
And the funniest thing is, you like the reel. It said liked by Nithik.
I think I just found that funny, okay?
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was actually hilarious.
Not that suicide is a joke, but I just thought that was funny.
I agree.
No, my reference was, when Mike Ross is with like Harvey Specter, and then he's like, what if I choose not to hire you? And he's like, I'd say that's all right. Sometimes I like to hang out with people who aren't as bright as me, just to see how the other half lives. And I was like, because I want to see how the other side lives.
All right.
I thought that's what you were referencing.
I see it now.
But in any case, the reason I do it is to understand, which is something every single one of you guys should do. Be more curious and try to understand other people more. They're extremely complex, and that's a mystery you will never, ever, ever solve, no matter how hard you try. And in this unyielding effort to solve a mystery that I'll never solve, one thing that I came across was a really interesting idea. And it was this video of, do you know the Instagram, it's not called account, called We Never Get Younger? It's like the dude who's always laying back on like a skateboard or something, and he's always rolling around, and he's always eating food and just talking to the camera.
No.
Never seen? Okay, well, I'll show you like some of his videos. I think they're really cool. But he had a really interesting take where he was talking about depression and sadness and these things. And he's like, people are always like, oh, when somebody says they're depressed, they treat them like they're wrong or they're broken and they need to be fixed, right? And at first I was like, well, obviously, right? If somebody's sad, I don't want my friends to be sad. I want to help them. And if I'm sad, I don't want to be sad, I don't think, right? But then I really started to like reflect on my own life. And I wondered, like, in every moment that I was sad, did I always just pray for everything to go away? Did I always just pray for every problem to just get solved? Did I just pray for some of my friends to come in and fix all my issues for me? Or did I just sometimes want somebody to sit there with me, right? Not to help me. That was very scary.
I'm not going to lie. I had a weird feeling that was going to happen today. Like, I had a sneaking suspicion that was going to happen. I'm going to have to watch that back and see which book was the culprit. Whichever one you're getting, you're put on the ban list.
That one's staying down here for now. There we go.
You could also just put it against the wall.
Hell no. I'm scared. But okay. Malicious book assault over. Let me get back to my point. Is that people treat depression and sadness like it's something that needs to be fixed. And I wondered if people ever thought to realize that it's kind of just a part of life. And sometimes you kind of just have to live with it. And to me, that's a very scary topic, right? Because especially when it comes to other people. Because as humans, naturally when you care about somebody, you don't want to see them in pain. That's reality. Nobody wants to see their friends in pain. And if you do, you're a psychopath and there's something wrong with you. Go get checked. But for those of you out there, you care about somebody. Think about the people that you love and imagine you see them in pain. And think about the fact that sometimes the best thing for you to do is nothing, Like, to me, that's crazy. To me, I don't get that. I sit there and I wonder, how is it that if I love somebody, the best thing I can do for them when they're in pain is nothing? Crazy, right? The rational mind can't comprehend it. But an emotional one could. Because an emotional one is empathetic, is compassionate, and can put themselves in those people's shoes. And that's the one thing that I've realized is, damn, man, when I really reflect on the moments in my life where I was sad, sometimes I wasn't looking for a pick-me-up. Which is weird, right? Because rationally, I should be looking for a pick-me-up. That's what people do when they're sad, right? They want to get up. But sometimes I just wanted somebody to sit there with me and be like, damn, bro.
It's cooked.
Like, exactly. Somebody to just be there. And that does lead me into another question, which we'll dive into in a bit. But sometimes rationality is overrated. Sometimes it's okay to not be okay. That's a part of life. And I know I talked about it on a previous episode. It was probably a couple, maybe 10, 15 episodes ago, where I talked about my little epiphanies amongst sadness. And I actually went back and I reread a lot of the stuff that I documented during that span where I was really discovering that. And I reread it and I was like, what's so interesting is as I read every single one of those entries, I realized I wasn't sad, but man, was I miserable. And that's so interesting to me, was that I was finally free of the one thing that I always ran from in my life. The one thing I never wanted to be a part of me, the one thing that we as humans try to avoid. I was finally free from it, and I wasn't happy. But yet now, I feel it come back. I feel moments of sadness, and I feel so much better. I feel so much happier. I feel so much more real. I feel authentic. I feel complete because, funny enough, sadness completes us. Remember our little analogy of a Rubik's Cube, right? Where all the different sides are different parts of you, and from different angles, people will see different parts. And yes, people will perceive you differently from every side, but that means that every side still exists. So sadness exists. Happiness exists. Do I believe that you should have an overarching mind of happiness? Yes, I believe that every single one of you guys should strive to be a happy person at every possible time in your life. And Lord knows I still do that. But sometimes you have to be okay with being sad because it's a part of life. And I think a lot of people, the issue they have with feeling sad is that sometimes they don't take a moment to just let it rest. The second that something happens, they're like, I need to get out, I need to get out, I need to get out. And they end up digging themselves into a bigger hole because they're frantic. They don't take the genuine time it takes to heal. Instead, they're just trying to look for the fastest way out, the fastest little rope I can quickly catch on and, run out of this hole with. But maybe you should have spent more time building a ladder to get you out, right? Something safer, something that's going to keep you out instead of something that's going to let you fall back in.
I was about to say that too. It's the tools you build when you're in that pit can be used to get out of the pit anytime you fall back in the future. Because let's be honest, life is going to push you into a pit many times. Many, many times you're going to get pushed down into that pit. And if you don't learn the first time or the second time or the third time, you're going to keep falling in that pit and getting stuck for a long amount of time consistently. But what you learn in that state of disarray is what you use in the future. And that's why our whole mindset has changed since those times when we weren't happy. It's a very good tool to have now. And we wouldn't have it if it weren't for those days where we were miserable, if it weren't for those weeks and months where we were just not happy. It just didn't make sense at the time to me. And that's the thing. Even though now we sit here and say, we're happy all the time, no matter what's going on, we keep a smile on our face, we show up, whether it's to work, to school, to the gym, to the podcast, whatever it is, you show up with a smile on your face. It's that simple. Does that mean we don't go through bad things? No, absolutely not. Inherently, this month, I've had to face a lot of struggle that I don't necessarily share. But yet, I still feel happy. I still feel better than I did many, many years ago because I understood, hey, I've been through the fire now and I understand all I got to do is just keep my own head straight and things are going to be fine. But one thing you said that was very, very intriguing to me is the fact that not every situation calls for saving immediately. Because I feel like most of the advice we give is often in relation to just getting out of your problems, not learning how to sit in it for a bit. And I think that might actually be the harder thing to do, to sit in a problem rather than to immediately try to get out. Because think about it this way. Sitting in a problem is the equivalent of getting into that ice bath and really just laying in there for a while. Whereas consistently trying to run away from it and get out of it as soon as possible is obviously jumping out of the ice bath immediately. But what do you learn by jumping out? You don't really learn much. But the introspection and the inner strength you find when you're stuck in that freezing cold water, it's everything. It means a lot moving forward. And when I reflect on some of the tougher times in my life, there were nights where I just didn't want to solve it, where I just didn't want to get out of it right now, and I just wanted to sit in it. It's not really something that maybe it's not something that I acknowledge often enough, to be honest. It's once you brought the prompt up saying, sometimes you just need to sit in it. That's when I was like, damn, he's low-key kind of right. He's low-key spitting today. I wasn't really thinking about it that way. Yeah. But it's true. It's really true.
I think it's funny because I've noticed this in my life so much is we never take into account what other people expect from us when we do things for them. And what I mean by that is I sit here and suppose that, somebody comes to me with a problem. They're like, hey, man, this thing happened in my life and, it sucks. And, I feel like garbage. My first instinct is obviously, bro, there's nothing to feel bad about. Whatever, this is what you can do to fix it. But then I think about myself and I'm like, suppose that I went to somebody with a problem. And I was just like, dude, man, let's just suppose, hypothetically, oh man, this girl broke up with me. Obviously, the guy's going to be like, bro, just move on, find a new girl, life moves on, right? And I'll be like, damn, man, I know that. Obviously, I know that. Was that what I wanted to hear from you? No, obviously not, because guess what? I thought of that already, okay? The thing is, if you are such a sage that you can just figure out the instant solution to somebody's problem, they probably found it too by now, okay? And there's a reason that they're coming to you, and it's not for that. People come to you because they just want somebody to be there with them. And it's something Simon Sinek said that I've said before on the podcast, but I never really got to add the gravity to it that it deserves. And the quote is that we don't... Wait. I need to remember the quote fully. Hold on.
Wait, I might get copyrighted.
Damn, why can't I remember exactly what the quote is? We don't build trust by giving help. We build trust by asking for it. And that's dude, when I tell you the feeling for me of when somebody comes to me with a problem and they say, hey man, I don't know what to do. Or, hey man, I'm having a bad day. That is okay, first off, obviously I don't want my friends to feel any pain, but knowing that person can come to me makes me feel so full and so happy, and it makes me feel genuinely fulfilled. For those of you out there that don't have people that come to you like that or don't go to people like that, know that there's always people out there that really want to hear your problems. For those of you out there that are going through things by yourself and you think that, oh my God, if I talk, people are just going to find me annoying. People don't want me. People don't want to hear me talk about my problems. They do. Because I would much rather hear you talk about problems than hear about your death on the news. I would never, right? So people are out there that genuinely want to hear your problems. And I hate it. I hate it so much when a friend comes to me 6 months down the line and we're having some campfire chat and they tell me about some crazy thing that happened to them and I didn't know. And I'm like, damn, man, I could have been there with you. I could have been there for you. And it takes me back to my times when I felt like nobody was there for me, but all I had to do was reach out.
All you had to do was ask.
And that's the thing is that People really do care. But it's funny because there's another thing that I found out. And this relates to why don't people reach out, right? Because again, if it's so simple, why doesn't everybody do it? Obviously, there's a self-conscious aspect of like, I don't want people to think like this about me or this about me. I don't want people to judge me, which is, to me, is false because I'm willing to bet there are people around you that care about you, love you, and believe the things that you say and will be there for you regardless of what you're going through. But this was really crazy. This is why I love, and I mean love, Theo Von so much. Because this guy's content gets so real at times, and I genuinely think it's so beautiful. So he was on, his podcast or whatever, talking about his own life and how it was so hard for him to ask for help from people. And the one thing he said is like, man, like, I don't want to need help. I don't want to ask you for help. I don't want to need help from other people. I can do it by myself. And he said, the reason I find it so hard to ask other people for help is because one time I asked somebody for help and they weren't there. And I was like, damn.
He's spitting.
Exactly, because the thing is, we go through things that lead us to believe certain things. When people don't want to reach out, it's because they did, and it didn't work. And I think this is a very prevalent thing. A lot of guys know about like this, especially, I mean, I guess a lot of girls would know it technically, but like the classic story of like, you meet some guy and he's like super cold, he's super mean, he doesn't seem to care about anything, and people are like, oh, what's wrong with him? It's because at some point in his life, he cared too much, and he got hurt. So now he chooses, I don't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we need to approach situations without that judgment, and instead with that curiosity, because there's a reason to the way that people act, and it's oftentimes out of unfamiliarity, right? When things are unfamiliar, we don't like to do them, right? We don't really like to try something that either didn't work in the past or has never worked for us currently. So, like a little something like I wrote was, we push others away because of unfamiliarity. People who are lonely don't understand what it means to be together. People who were never cared for run from love because it's something they've never felt before. People are scared of that idea of unfamiliarity. So sometimes we need to be more understanding to the people that are going through those sad times, to understand that you're not broken. Maybe things went wrong in the past, but that's okay. That's a part of life. And we all kind of have to live with that. And we all get better by living and by creating new experiences to replace the bad ones that exist within the past.
This is going to sound so insane that this is what I'm comparing it to. But this whole situation makes me think about the Vancouver Canucks. Stick with me.
Okay.
Stick with me, okay?
I'll stick with
Just
you.
hear me out. When you look at the Canucks, to those of you that don't know hockey, the Canucks are somewhat of a cursed franchise in the world of the NHL. Number one, we are one of the older teams in history, as in we have been around for quite a while, and yet we have never won the championship before, which is not completely unheard of. There are obviously other teams in the NHL that haven't won a Stanley Cup before either, and I'm sure that most sports do have teams like that. But I would say we're not as cursed as the Buffalo Bills in football, but we're close in a sense that every time you feel like something is going amazingly right, something goes horribly wrong and we lose. 2011, make it all the way to the finals, canned in Game 7 and we lose. Tragic. Like that funny enough, I think that was one of those moments in history where everyone lost their faith in a team. Just like that. It was just over. Because everyone had waited so many years for this moment, and then they blew it. And then you look at the Canucks last season. My God, it was a beautiful story that they were painting. Beautiful story. Top of their division, going into the playoffs. Yeah, they didn't have an insane number of superstars on their team, but man, they were making it work somehow. And then they crushed it in the first round, which most people were like, all right, they can probably do good in the first round. But the second round, nobody expected them to do good. Nobody expected them to play as good as they did against Edmonton. And yet they took them all the way to a Game 7, and then without two of our best players, we ended up losing. But then you followed that season up with a lot of hope because you're thinking, man, they did so good. They're going to capitalize on that this season. They're going to make good moves in the offseason, and they're going to be a great team this year. We're going to win the Stanley Cup this year. Oh my God, Vancouver. Everyone is going to sing Kumbaya, hold hands, and throw a massive party in, I don't know, Scott Road. Life is going to be good. And then what happens? Everybody dies. Everybody on the Canucks roster dies. Someone breaks their arm. Somebody breaks their leg. Like, it's just, that actually didn't happen. But everyone had injuries. Canucks plagued with injuries this season, whether it was our superstar goalie who carried us throughout the season last year, whether it was our captain who leads the league in many stats, including the fastest skate by any player this season, whether it's our superstar forward, Elias Pettersson, who definitely hasn't been playing like a superstar, but I'm going to call him a superstar now because he's playing good now. Point is, every time something is about to go right, something goes wrong. And I was having a conversation with one of our friends earlier. This is like a long, kind of a Canucks rant at this point. But I was having a conversation with one of my friends earlier, and we talk about Canucks stuff all the time. Like, we pretty much, every time they're playing, we're going back and forth talking about the game, saying, oh my God, this person is my glorious king. By the way, this is being recorded on the day that they beat the Devils in shootout. So shout out of the day goes to Jonathan Lekkerimäki, my glorious king. Anyways, shout out aside. We talk a lot about hockey, and he's a guy who I'd say kind of flips like a switch. If we win a couple of games, his reaction is, we're so back, we're going to win the Stanley Cup. But then if we lose a game, he says, this franchise is poverty, I can't support them anymore, I'm watching soccer instead. I'd say I exaggerated a bit, but that's kind of how the cookie crumbles. And today, after we blew the lead, he said, I don't think that, or we're not going to make the playoffs. We're cooked. This team is canned. Like, what a disappointing season. I'm so ashamed to be a Canucks fan. And normally I would have said, yeah, you're 100% right. This is disappointing. I actually want to end it all because the Canucks suck again. But then I sat for a second and I thought, how unlucky has this team been this season? I think it's a well-known fact that the Canucks have had one of the most unfortunate seasons this time. And that just happens sometimes. You just get bad luck. You draw the short end of the stick sometimes. That's how it goes. But then I thought, you also draw the long end of the stick sometimes. Think about last season. That was a miracle. Like, there was not really a big reason why they should have played as good as they did, and yet it worked. They won so many games and went into the playoffs and did the same. It was awesome to be able to experience that. Awesome. And great for the city as well. So you kind of got to take the good with the bad. So I responded to his message and I said, yeah, it definitely sucks. It's been a disaster class this season. But hey, look, we have a couple of new young guys who look pretty good. In a couple of years, they'll be insanely good. You look at last season, that was pretty good to watch. And you hope that moving forward in the next season, they're able to change things and become better. If you look at it only from the negative and just the pessimistic aspect of things, then obviously you're not really going to see any improvement or feel good about the future. But if you just take the short end of the stick every once in a while for what it is and say, all right, we had an unfortunate season. I had an unfortunate day, unfortunate week, unfortunate month, whatever. Let's just try to get back on the train and see if we can turn things around. And just that attitude is everything.
You know, the one thing that I really, really resonate, and I'm so glad that you brought it up, and in one word, it's hope. A lot of people don't understand this, is like, for example, with me, the reason that I can be so happy on a day-to-day basis is because I'm so hopeful. Because I genuinely believe that everything is going to work out. You can call me a fool for it, and every time that I meet somebody, I believe they've got my best intentions at heart. I always believe in their actions, that they care, that they're doing this because they're trying to help me. That's how I choose to live my life. That's how I choose to believe. That's how I choose to have hope. But that's the thing about it, is that it's a double-edged sword. Hope is a double-edged sword, but you cannot be afraid when you draw your own blood. That's the one thing that I've said, is it's scary being hopeful, man, and it hurts. It hurts so much to be hopeful, because being hopeful means that you have a lot, but that means you have a lot to lose as well. And take, the Canucks, for example. If you're a fan who's like, I don't care anymore if they play, who cares, whatever. Yeah, you're sad all the time, but every time that they lose, you're like, it's whatever, it's what I expected. But if you're a guy who's like, yeah, man, like, come on, I want us to win, sure, you're going to feel real happy when they win, but you're going to feel real crushed when they lose. And that's when you ask the question, how do I find that balance? And I got to tell you, man, you don't. There is no balance for hope. And that's something that a lot of people don't seem to understand, is that there is no being free of sadness. There is no escaping it. It's an inescapable reality. You can run for as long as you want, but it will catch up to you. The question is when and by how much. And to me, I'd much rather grab sadness on a path of happiness than live on a path of sadness and grab happiness. Right?
Yeah.
And it's been a hard, or I guess it's something that I realized is like a lot of people like to look at me, who's somebody who's like quote unquote happy, and believe that everything in my life is perfect and that this being happy comes with no cost. It comes with no issues. And I am, a free butterfly flying in the wind. That's just not true, man. Being happy is hard. I'll tell you guys this firsthand. It's not easy to smile every day. It's not easy to sit in the studio and talk about how happy I am every single day, because at times I'm not. That's a part of life. And especially being somebody who always looks for that happiness, when the sadness hits, man, it hits. It hits so hard. But the thing is, I don't let it get me down. Because it does. But I get back up. And we keep going. With every step, we try to make one more step towards that happy future. So understand that hope, resilience, optimism are curses as much as they are gifts. They hurt you. I don't want to say as much, because I believe that they help you more. But at times, they can hurt you more than they ever help you. And that's scary to a lot of people. And that's what I've realized about sadness, is that at times, people tried optimism and it didn't do enough for them. They tried optimism and it turned out bad for them, so they don't want to do it again. But I'll tell you guys something. That's an inevitable reality about trying optimism, about trying to embrace that idea of being happy every single day, of being hopeful, of being resilient, of giving every bit of your life to putting a smile on your face. It comes at a cost. And that cost is one that's really, really hard to face. But I'm telling you that if you do a cost-benefit analysis, you will know for sure that you're getting more out of it than you're ever losing.
Yeah. And to me, I really liked your pathways analogy, where you said living on a happy path and having to deal with sadness every once in a while versus living on a sad path and trying to grab happiness along the way. Because that pathway dictates how you feel on an everyday basis, right? What philosophy and perspective you choose to take dictates how you feel on average. So if you wake up every day with a happy mindset, even in those moments where you're not really doing anything, you're happy. For example, I'm willing to bet that half the people on the mountain probably think I'm crazy, because when I'm driving down the mountain, I have music, not blaring, but definitely loud enough that people can hear it. And I don't listen to just like rap music, for example. I've been bumping my nostalgia radio hits for the past couple of weeks now. And let me tell you guys, that playlist gets me in a happy, happy mood. I can't explain it. I think it just reminds me of a simpler time. It reminds me of when I was a kid, and whether I was on the way to taekwondo or swimming or hockey or something, and I didn't have a phone or anything, so I just listened to the radio with my parents. I remember sitting in the back seat, which sounds crazy, but now that I'm a full-grown adult and I drive myself everywhere, I have been for the past couple of years, I don't even remember what it's like to sit in the back seat with my parents in the front and just go somewhere like that anymore, because that rarely happens. But when I hear that playlist go on, it just takes me back, and I just have that moment of nostalgia, and that's why it's called Nostalgia Radio Hits. Now, disclaimer for all you guys out there, there might be some of you guys who are watching this who are older than me and Nithik here, which is, there's actually a good chance, because we're not that old, but...
You're pretty old, but like, continue. No, please continue. Sorry.
I'm 21, by the way. I'm not that old.
Over 2 decades is crazy, but please continue.
Buddy thinks 21 is old. All right, let's calm down. Let's calm down, all right? Anyways, for me, nostalgia radio hits are like... What are some good examples? California Girls.
Like 20
Last
Tons
Friday
White Girl
Night.
Music,
Yeah,
would
exactly.
say.
Viva La Vida, Paradise, all these songs that are, 2010s era. Those songs just get me in such a good mood. And like I was saying, if I'm coming down the mountain, I'll be listening to that song and I'll just straight up be like bopping in my car and everything, just full on dancing in my car. Not a care in the world what anybody else has to say about it. Because how I'm feeling in that moment, they probably won't understand. But the happiness I feel is unparalleled. And let me tell you a crazy story about something that happened today. I'm driving down and I'm listening to this playlist. I'm like, man, I wonder what other songs I used to listen to that I can't remember or that I haven't listened to in such a long time. But when I listen to it, it will like jog my memory like that. One thing that came to mind was number one, my era where I bought songs individually because I didn't have a streaming service. So I bought like 5 songs and I just listened to those 5 songs on repeat forever. For example, the only song I ever bought on iPhone that
Can I guess it?
yes, but let me
Yeah,
explain it. Though I only bought one song on my phone before I got a streaming service, which was many, many years later. But I only had one song on my phone, and I used it as my alarm every single morning. Do you want to guess what it was?
Invincible by NCS.
Invincible by NCS. No copyright sounds.
Dude, NCS was so goated back
So
in the day, man.
goated. Think about it.
Oh my lord.
Think about it. They single-handedly helped so many people start YouTube channels. Did you ever think about that?
That is so true.
Because literally all
Everybody
their
used
music
it.
was used in
Yeah.
intros, which is so crazy to me.
That's very awesome. Dude, I remember my first song I ever bought was Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait,
first ever
bought or like?
Bought.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
bought it
Oh,
on
yeah, I
iTunes.
remember.
I still remember my catalog. I think it was 4 songs.
Okay.
It was Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake.
Yes, I remember that.
Ride by 21 Pilots.
I remember that too.
And oh man, is it a million questions?
Oh,
By Patrick Jorgensen.
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I remember we watched his performance on, I think it was Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent.
One of the
two.
Got Talent shows.
And
yeah.
then from that, watching that, we used to listen to that song every single day.
On repeat.
And then I remember in grade 5, I put my friends onto it, and we would all listen to it and rap the entire song together. And then we would time how fast each of us could rap the entire verse, and we tried to see who could rap it the fastest.
That's kind of cool.
It was so fun, man. Back in the day, man. Oh, God. Simpler times, man.
Dude.
Simpler times. See, even just thinking about it's got me smiling, bro.
I'm telling you, I
Like-
haven't even gotten to like the crux of my
Oh,
story
yeah,
yet.
yeah, no,
the
please.
holy grail, the
Continue.
climax of it. So I'm driving and I'm taking my exit off the highway. I'm like, man, I wonder what other songs I had. And then it hit me like a bus. I thought about, do you remember my old black HP tablet?
Yes. Yeah.
On that tablet, I had a few songs bought that I did not have on my phone. And one of them, I don't know if this might be such a deep recess in your mind that you might not remember. Do you remember what Monster Cat is?
Monster Cat. It sounds so familiar. And, like, I can picture it.
Yeah, 'cause it's just a picture of a cat like this.
Yeah. But I don't know. No.
Dude. Okay. Monster Cat is like this EDM label. And I remember I had a few of their songs saved on that bought on that tablet. Like maybe 5 songs again, like nothing crazy. At the time, that was like, what, $5 or $6 max. And I was trying to think what the song was called. And then I just like activated the Siri thing on YouTube and I searched Monster Cat Razor Blade because that's what I remembered. And then it popped up. Razor Sharp is what it was called.
Oh my God.
And I remembered the thumbnail from the video, but I couldn't remember what the song sounded like. And I was like, I knew it had Razor in the name. What was it? And then it popped up. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. So I click it and I start listening to it. And I just relished in the past. I sat there. That song was like 12 years old, which
That's
is insane for
crazy.
me. But I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, this was the banger at the time, bro. This was that song. And you want to know what else is another one that I don't know if you'll remember, but it's called I don't know if it's called Aerocord or if the artist is just named Aerocord. But it's just this gray background, and it's the one song that literally everyone used for crazy trick shots and intros as well. make the ground
Ground
world
shake.
shake. Yeah, exactly that one.
Bow, bum, bum, bum,
Yeah,
bum,
exactly.
That
That song.
What?
Yeah. There's a Monster Cat video on that one, and I heard that one next. Bro's reliving the YouTube intro.
Dude, I remember. I actually. What?
Oh my God. Do you remember when we were at Johan's house and we made, shout out my boy Johan, absolute brother, the legend. When we made that YouTube channel, we were doing hockey trick shots.
Oh my God.
We used that song as our intro.
That's crazy. Dude, that video was so good. I wish that we uploaded that.
Yeah. That video might actually be lost forever.
I know. Dude, guys, listen.
Wait, no, it might be on his YouTube account.
It could be on his YouTube account.
We might have to go find that. That's crazy. That's so
Because
crazy.
I remember recording that that video.
I remember the one shot where I was holding the can on my hand and I was so worried that one of you were gonna like break my hand with the puck.
Oh yeah.
It's the scariest thing ever.
Dude, I remember after one of the trick shots, you guys had like that one handshake. That was so fire.
Oh my God. We dabbed in the handshake.
Yeah.
We dabbed in the handshake.
Dude, that was at the peak of dab times, man.
Oh my God.
Crazy throwback. Dude, it was different times, man. Different times.
I'm reliving that whole sequence now, and I see it. And I remember because this is also when they had that big pole in the middle of their garage.
Yeah.
They didn't have that. They don't have that anymore. But dude, that's so crazy. Oh my God.
Dude, like I remember seeing like us on the Mac editing the video together. You remember that? On, like,
I
iMovie?
do.
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh
See, that's
my
the thing,
God,
guys,
dude.
is like these little memories mean so much. Like at the time, they're nothing, and then you look back on them and you're like, damn, man. I just hit my head.
I do it.
But
Yo,
like,
throw it back to what I said. You're going to hit your head on the books. Remember before the
That is
episode
kinda
started?
crazy.
I
He
said
did
be
say that.
careful. Anyways,
But
continue.
I'm just like, damn, bro, how is it? This guy mentioned one song, and that was enough for me to go back in time and relive that moment, and it brought a smile on my face, bro. It's the little things that make life worth living, guys.
You want me to break your brain right now?
Oh,
You know what I just thought about?
What?
Hey guys, today we're going to be doing the Juicy Drop,
Drop
Challenge.
I still have that video.
What?
I have that video.
Where?
I have that video on my phone.
Say swear.
Oh, sorry, table. But I think I have that video on my phone. Maybe I will upload it to YouTube for you guys.
Oh my.
Genuinely, if I could, like, I've watched it.
Nah,
not
you got to
too
let
long
it
ago.
marinate. I feel like you got to let it marinate more.
Dude, it's been like 10 years.
Yeah, but like we're still at the age where that's going to be insane to look at and be like, damn, my voice was so high. I need to be like 30 years old for me to post that and be like, I was a tiny little boy.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
fair.
But more importantly, I just remember Johan lying and being like, we're recording this in Ohio.
No, I was in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, that's what it was.
We are Oklahomans. Dude, I remember that so vividly. That's so funny. That's so funny.
And we thought we were so crazy for just eating those sour candies.
Dude, and
bro.
like we all overreacted.
We all overreacted.
Every single one of us. Like
Sold it.
Dude, the gel is sweet, bro.
What are
The
we
gel
yapping
is
about?
not even sour.
What are we yapping about?
We were like doing okay, for context, guys. We were making a video about like who could put the most juicy drop like gel on the candies, and the gel is sweet. The gel is sweet.
The candy
The
is the sour
candy
part.
is sour. You're adding more sweet stuff to it.
Actually, is it? I swear the gel is
Dude,
also
I'm
sour,
telling
isn't
you,
it?
it's sweet, bro. Like I am 90% sure it's actually sweet.
I thought it was sour.
Even if it's sour, it probably wasn't that sour.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd say we definitely sold the reaction.
We were lying. We were straight up like,
No, whoa.
Dude,
we were
okay.
acting.
yes, we were. Yeah, that's true. Because there's a camera, it's acting.
It's
now.
literally acting.
Literally because there's a camera, it's acting. Dude, I remember I ate it and I was like, and it was like, and I'm sat there in my mind like, this is so tasty. I'm having such a good time right now. But if I was like, no,
Bro.
Like it's so funny, man. I love what it was like to be a kid, man.
For real.
And that's crazy because I know in 10 years' time I'm gonna be like, yo, I remember when I was 18, bro. That was like the greatest.
We were
moment
making
of my
the
life.
Brighter Horizons
Making-
podcast.
I mean, hopefully we'll still be making them by
Hell yeah.
30.
Dude, I just did something. Oops.
I was about
Sorry,
to say
my
this
fault.
cable just moved by like a
Oh.
ghost, and I got really scared there for a second. But now it's just
No, we're fine. It was
No,
just
we're
my leg. My fault, guys.
Yeah, we all good.
I swear, man, every day I do this, I just get more happy because somebody new discovers the channel and they're like, hey, you have a podcast? And I'm like, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Dude,
and then
I've
they
been
look at
like, people have been walking up to me and they're like, dude, you have a podcast? That's so cool. And I'm like, at first, bro, in high school, like, when people would say that to me, I thought they were, like, making fun of me.
you, yeah.
And I think they still were in high school.
Yeah.
But, like, now when I meet people in uni, they're like, dude, that's so sick. And I'm like, oh, my God, yeah, I do think it's pretty sick. You know? Like, and then I'm like, oh, my God, wait, these people feel the same way about it as I do. And it's so awesome because, like, people in university got no animosity to me, and they haven't known me for a long time. So, like, people know me as, like, oh, he's a guy who has a podcast, which is really cool, as opposed to people who are like, oh, you know, I've known this Nithic guy for, like, 5 years. Why the hell did he start a podcast now? And he's so weird. What's wrong
And
with
on
him?
top of that, people in university, for the most part, don't think that it's lame to try new things, to push yourself, and to be better every day.
Yeah.
I feel like most people are trying to do something good in university.
Absolutely.
So go out there and do it, man.
And with that, we got to bring an end to episode 64.
Massive side tangent.
Yeah, very massive side tangent, massive. But
it was a lot of fun,
side tangent aside, thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end of episode 64 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. But before you guys know,
What?
No, go.
The funniest thing is you said that last episode too.
Really?
Yeah, I was gonna edit it and say go, but I forgot.
Oh, damn, that's crazy. But before you guys know, go. Damn.
Damn!
I'm messing
Twice.
up the flow.
I pause. Why are you trying to freestyle?
Oh, I was going to keep going.
All right.
Going. I be sewing.
But he's not flowing.
But we be glowing.
Like the Brighter Horizons podcast be growing.
When I get in my boat, I be rowing. Toss him in a barrel, he be stowing.
Ooh. All right, that's enough.
I ran out of rhymes, but
Hey, that's it. Hey. Oh, I can't.
yeah, it's okay. There we go. We'll go with the left hand shake this time.
Broken arm.
Before you guys go, you already know what time it is. It is time for quote
Of
the
week.
harem.
Quote of the week. Just because I give you advice does not mean that I am better than you. It just means that I've made more mistakes than you. Bro is so happy about
I need
this.
you to like cut to me when we're editing this video. You're gonna cut to my reaction.
Yeah, I will.
Just saying.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I love it. I'm so energized right now. I don't care that it's over midnight right now. Yes.
We have to be up in a few hours to go to school,
Oh yeah.
bro.
But dude, oh my God.
And that's the thing, bro. I swear, everyone like wants to sit here and say. But the thing is, I understand why people say it. It's because there's a lot of fugazi people out there who say a bunch of yap. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. It's not like everything I've ever said on this podcast has been not yap. I think that in every podcast, you're gonna have sections every once in a while where it's yap. But here, at least, I try to be as not yap as possible. I try to really speak from experience, and I think that's where the meaning comes out. Like when I say, oh, I used to be depressed. I used to hate my job. I used to be really sad. I went through these phases in my life where I literally hated every single day. And yet, look at me now. It's not a boast. It's not for me to say I'm better than you. It's not to say that you're beneath me. No, man, you were never beneath me, and I'll never be above you. At the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all equal. I'm only telling you what I learned because I suffered and I went through something. I only want you to understand that I only learned that because I sucked. I literally sucked, bro. That's why I learned it.
It's like that one Bible verse. It's like there's no honor in being better than your fellow man. True honor is in being better than yourself. I don't know if that's exactly the verse, but I'm guesstimating the exact verse. But yeah, don't look at people like they're below you, man.
Yeah.
That's a part of life. But with that, thank you guys so much once again for sticking around to the very end of episode 64 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. I know that it's been a bit of a longer episode. We went on a bit of a side tangent there towards the end, but we appreciate you guys more than you could ever imagine. Those little side moments, those are the ones that make you truly smile. Grasp every single one of them with full effort. Know that next week we got a couple of special things coming your way, so please stay excited and stay tuned for that. We love you guys, and know that sometimes you don't always need to do the rational thing. Sometimes it's okay to sit in sadness and just live with it. Sometimes it's okay to just be there for the people around you. Understand that people are complex. We're not always going to do the fastest way to heal, but what's important is we
Dude, we're about to end it
we
all.
do what is best for us to heal. Take whatever time you need, take whatever processes you need, and make sure you live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.